Hey everyone, it's METAGAMESGX here, and we are going to go into my branded DESPIA regional deck profile, recently brought to the Rochester regional. It's a very good list. It performed amazingly, and I only really lost to my own misplays, so I felt like the choices that I made were very good, and it's a good list to show off. So we did that on stream. I stream every Monday and Friday, so make sure you're subscribed if you're not already to check those out. Hit the bell. Comment down below what your favorite choice was in this deck profile, and if this video gets to 200 likes, we will do an in-depth deck combo guide. You guys already know I'm doing a very in-depth branded guide coming up, so let's get those likes racked up and let's get right into it. 3 Cartesia, 3 Aluber, 2 Quem, 3 Albaz, really standard. I mean, except for, you know, a lot of people have just been running 2 Cartesia, 1 Quem. I think you run the 2 Quem because of Nibiru, and then and the 2 Quem did come up for me. I think 2 Quem is just so good. Even we're on 54 cards, by the way. 3 Cartesia is just like, it's just consistency when you're at 54 cards. You just need to see, like, Cartesia as a starter with any other, like, light or dark, essentially. So I think running 3 is just, you know, upping the amount of, like, you know, it's not a bad card going second right now. And because not every board has, like, Detonator and Promethean Princess and stuff like that. So, like, it's fine. It's a pretty good card right now to run at 3. I know a lot of people have been asking me why people run it at 3 right now, and it's just consistency. And it's pretty, it's like you want to see it going you want to see it no matter what. Also, what's up, RJ King Pants? RJ, thanks for gifting a membership. I appreciate you, brother. Getting us one step closer to our monthly giveaway, which we are getting to the end of the month on. If we do end up hitting 30 channel members or Twitch subs, we will be giving away a QCR Alubers. So yeah, they're the original art, but we will do just a playset of those. Because I got a bunch of extra ones. So, and then 3 Shrouded, 1 Kit, and then 1 Tragedy, and then 1 Mercurier, wherever the Mercurier is. So I kind of miss the second Mercurier, I'm not gonna lie. Like, I kind of want to just run a Droll because of that, but there was so much Droll, like, there's an infinite amount of Droll in this format, so I think you have to do what you can to play around it. So that's just a concession I had to make. It's also 1 less brick, so that's fine. Running the Tragedy was good, even without Foolish. Some people were like, why do you run the Despian Tragedy without Foolish Burial? And it's like, well, it's because you can send it off a branded fusion in a grind game, and then you can either get an Aluber, or you can just reset a branded spell or trap card, so it's another branded retribution, essentially, as long as you aren't banishing your branded fusion off of duplication. This is how you can keep branded fusion rotation with your kit, with your Despian Tragedy, and then your branded retribution. That's 3 different times you can loop the branded fusion in a whole grind game, so that's pretty good. I would never cut this card, even without Foolish Burial. And then also, this is what you want to send off a branded fusion if you don't open a Aluber. If you just open branded fusion, you send this off of, or if you have, like, a line with Cartesia that doesn't go through Aluber to get the branded fusion, you could also just send this to get the Aluber to have an extra body or just whatever, or get to, like, red or something like that. So yeah, stuff like that, since, you know, I don't know, it's a great branded red target too. So, like, some of the games I was just, like, sending Quem off of branded fusion, so I'd have, like, a branded in red target, or like a branded banishment target. So just having more targets for those cards is really good in the grind game, just so you know, are able to play the game more. Because Despians just have a higher value in your deck because of the fact you can touch it with branded and red and branded banishment, which are, like, your power plays in this build. So yeah. And then 3 Saronir, once again, this is just, like, the best Bystial in your deck right now, because if you Bystial on your opponent's turn, you know, you probably at least, like, crack into their board a little bit, and then also they'll probably remove it somehow, so, like, you get a retribution in rotation, which is really good to play into boards right now. Like, you can send the retribution, and then it's like, okay, I go for branded loss or branded fusion, they omni it, okay, great, branded retribution, and then I get to use it again. So this card just is incredible right now. I'm not running the Magnuma, and I'm not running more Bystial Lubellions because we're not playing Master Duel. But then also Magnuma is just, like, I've seen a lot of people cut it, so that's kind of why I just took people's judgment on that more than anything. In testing, it's not like Magnuma really did a ton for me, really. I think, like, you know, we were struggling sometimes with that card in the deck, so I think I did not miss it. Like, maybe side deck eventually, but I don't know. If you're not playing Mimigol Yummy, you're behind. That's a crazy take. I agree with 3 Cartesia right now, says the Magic Geek. Last locals, I played 3 cart, 2 coin. My grind game felt so good. Exactly. Like, you're always getting the Cartesias and the branded and high spirits back, and that's just insane for playing the grind game. And it's a really grindy game at the moment. Once again, one Lubellion. Just fine ratios, nothing. And you want to cut down on bricks because you're running, you know, all of these things. So you really have to be like tight on the deck building. That's why I think like upping the Cartesia Quests, which are just like your best extenders in the deck, versus upping cards like multiple Mercurier or like, you know, more Bystials that don't necessarily get you there, you know, or running the Bystials that do help you get there in the sense of Bystial Saronir is really important, so you don't end up bricking on branded. I think that's what a lot of people just don't get. It's like a resource balancing game to properly deck build branded, if that makes sense. Like, you're balancing how many starters, how many like non-engine you have, and like your chances of getting to branded fusion going first and second through hand traps and interruptions, while also drawing hands that let you play into the board, or at least, you know, turn skip them. Because I drew droll, like, I drew these cards infinite, honestly. Fua I didn't see at all, really. I saw just like these cards for the most part, but like they were absolutely insane. And Perulia wasn't even in my main deck for the most part. A lot of the testing, you guys know I was testing Perulia for a bit because that's what Mario was maining, but I felt like Droll was just better overall because it's good even into Malice, but it's mainly there obviously for the Mitsurugi and Ryzeal matchups. Like, I had a my Ryzeal Mitsu opponent the one game go 7th Tachyon, and then I just drolled him and he just ended on Detonator, and I was able to out that with like 1 card, and then I still had a full hand. Like, I had Thrust in hand, so it's like, okay, you know, like it was like the easiest, most simplified board breaking. Yeah, so these guys were great. I wasn't running Perulia up until the last second, and then I put it in. I was at 52, and now I'm at 54. And my theory behind that was I wasn't able to side deck these guys. I need these guys. These cards are so good, especially with Ido. Like, you might as well not run Ido if you don't run multiple fusion duplication, in my opinion, because Ido's just really good right now when you go fusion duplication through hand traps, honestly. And that's like, you get to it through thrust. But so what I ended up doing was I took 2 Perulia from the side, put it in the main, went to 54, did a bunch of test hands and the night before, and I was like, you know what? I'm drawing more Fuelos. Like, I'm drawing more mulcharmies. I'm drawing more droll. So like, totally, like, it worked, and it worked out because my first game was against a live twin player, very nice guy once again, and I drew Perulia and I drew like 3 and broke his board. Like, I 2-0'd him. So like, immediately I saw dividends in Perulia being in the main deck, and then I was able to, you know, have a better going first games 2 and 3 because duplication was in my side deck for playing through hand traps. So that's what those were for, and we'll talk about that when we get to there. Try my best to make it out to Rochester again. Yeah, man, it's a far drive for you, but if you can, I'll have to come out to a regional by you guys, honestly, because I've been trying to do a little bit more regional grinding. Thank you, Kevin Lopez, for the $5. I stopped playing Yu-Gi-Oh for a chunk of time now. Now that I have more time available, I'm coming back, and my go-to is Albaz Despia. I love this deck. Let's go. Yeah, no, it's a very fun deck. A very good deck to kind of just invest your time in and all that fun stuff. So I do appreciate the 5. Thank you very much, Kevin, and thank you once again, Toxin, for the 10. All right, so all right, so we're gonna go through that. So yeah, no, this non-engine was great. Also, Droll and Fua being high spirits targets are great. I mean, Perulia at 2, it's just the worst out of the bunch. So, and then for branded spells and traps, well, I guess, yeah, we can do branded spells or traps. I usually just do non-engine, branded fusion, branded red, 3 branded opening, 1 brand lost, 3 branded and high spirits. Really standard, nothing to say there. Also, I guess branded banishment, branded retribution. Branded banishment was crazy in a grind game, like through nib and stuff like that, just getting my mirror jade back, and then the super poly effect, like stuff like that, like waiting to use the branded banishment so that your opponent plays into it, and then you get a free mirror jade, plus you get to super poly their board. This card's just crazy. Retribution was just, yeah, just great. I'm kind of glad I did not run 2 though, because this card would be bricky. And branded red was great. I just wish I had Guardian Chimera in my deck. That's like the one card I really missed in the deck that I did not run that I'm gonna probably have to find space for, because that card's just so good with branded in red, honestly. Um, I was actually putting some cards away to pick up Sprined. I forgot how insane that is with Super Poly. That's true too. Sprined would have been a good option. Sprined always comes up for me. I'm just like, wow, I wish I kind of had Sprined there. 3 deployment, and then 1 gold Sark, 1 called by for the generic extenders, also 1 talents, 2 thrust, and then 1 fusion duplication to play through hand traps, and this card to get to Cartesia. Very standard. Two thrust over 3 for the bricking issue, because you can very easily brick on multiple thrusts going first or even going second. So I think 2 is just the perfect number so that you are able to at least get to talents if you need it. And talents was great. Obviously, I drew 2 sometimes, but like, I think I hand ripped once and drew 2 like the other time. And thrust was just great just to get to what I needed, like branded fusion. Thrust was great all day. I could see myself maybe putting a 3rd in the side deck, but I don't know how it even, like, the pattern would be for that, because, like, I can see thrust being good going first or going second, so maybe it just might be, like, an additional mulcharmy side out going first kind of thing. Yeah, no. Yeah, how's everyone doing, guys? Really nice to see you guys. We got a bunch of people in the chat. We're going over the list. If you guys have any questions on the deck list, please let me know down below. We are going to also be doing an interview with the top 32 branded Dutch Nats player. So yeah, and then the board breakers, 3 super poly, 2 droplet. These cards were absolutely nuts. Like between the mulcharmies and droll and thrust, and seeing these, as long as I saw this plus like a half board breaker engine piece, essentially, I felt just fine. And at 54 cards, running like about 15 non-engine, that those slots plus branded cards is pretty consistent to see them. So yeah, they were pretty good. Maybe just up the droplet to 3 at some point, I don't know, but droplet just does not feel as good as super poly. Super poly was just crazy all day. I don't even have that many traditional super poly targets, but like for the most part it was like making Masquerade, making Mirror Jade. I made Mirror Jade so much off of super poly, I'm not gonna lie. That's like kind of what happened most of the time. Garura also. So yeah, and that's the main deck, 54 cards. And let's go into the extra deck. Is going to be uploaded to YouTube, right? Yeah, this will be uploaded to YouTube for sure, for sure. We always upload these as a super cut, like, so it's a little bit better, you know. So yeah, guys, how's everyone doing? Ryzeal 1 red. Yeah, only 1 red. I think 1 red's just fine. It's one of those deck building concessions. Like, I'd love to run 2 red or like a branded and white, but they're bricks at multiples sometimes, so I would just rather run cards that either turn skip my opponent or kind of just get me to my engine at this point. Like, it's a really fine line that you gotta toe when you're running 54 cards with like 5 mulcharmies that are just bricks after like turn 1, right? Like, you have to make certain concessions, and the double branded in red was one of them. And it didn't really come up because, you know, I run things like Tragedy, and if you play, and I run things like Kit. So if you do your grind game pretty, and like Kit just lets you get back these things, right? So like, I think it's totally fine. Oh, Kevin Lopez with another $5. I appreciate you, my brother. I'm still struggling to understand the Ido or Puppet Lock combo to set to the extra deck. I can show that at the end quickly. Here, we'll just show that off right now, I guess, since you did just donate 10. Appreciate that. I mean, it's really easy. I'd go to one of my combo guides, like very much so. I just have released a combo guide. I'll have to link it out there, but it's under my how to play branded playlist, because for the most part, like, my line with duplication was like I would get Fuwood and then I'd thrust into duplication, and then if I had any access to Cartesia, duplication would banish the branded fusion and then send, you know, copy the branded fusion effect, send Cartesia, send Albaz, or sorry, no, send like I said, I needed a Cartesian rotation, so I'd send the Albaz, and then I would send the Ido from the side deck, or from the extra, yeah, from, you know, right there, and then I would make a Lubellion, and then Lubellion would just discard the Cartesia, and then fuse back Cartesia Albaz, and then make the Sanctifier, and then Sanctifier would be able to target Ido, and then target a monster in your opponent's graveyard, or if you have anything else, and then you would be able to lock your opponent, because once it's on board, they can't special summon anything. Like, I think someone had, we had my like this card's so crazy. Like you can't even send it off of ice. Like just to check, we checked with a judge because like this card's wording is so weird. It's also a very old card, but yeah, you like literally can't even send this. Like you just can't even attempt to summon is essentially the ruling. So yeah, if you have any other questions, let me know, Kevin. But like also I would definitely check out one of my combo videos because that's where I go over like the locks in depth. Did you miss the second copy of Mirror Jade? No, it didn't come up for me. I only played 5 rounds, to be fair, and most of my games were 2-0s. Like, I think well, half of them were, and then the other half were just, like, definitely, like, really grind fest, like the Mermal, the ryzeal games. But yeah. So, one Mirror Jade, I felt like it was just fine at 1. You have to make those deck building concessions. Like, I wanted to run the Sanctifier. If I didn't run the Sanctifier, I'd run the second Mirror Jade, honestly. Or I'd run the Guardian Chimera, but it was fine. I tested a lot, but I mean, not like a lot before this event, but like I was playing more TCG than I had been playing in the last year, essentially. And I hadn't been playing much. So, you know, considering that, I felt like this extra deck was pretty good from the testing, and nothing really came up. When I test branded extra decks, I don't want to miss like a piece. Like I said, I don't have a Guardian Chimera in here, but I felt like if I didn't have Sanctifier, I'd want it under some, like if I get double Fuwood, I am not going the Mirror Jade line. I'm losing that game if I get double Fuwood. If I get double Fuwood and I have Sanctifier, I still have a play. Like honestly. Because then they just like it's essentially an upstart goblin. So Puppet isn't available in TCG. I mean, we call it Puppet Lock, right? But yeah. Super Poly amazing, bro. Yes, sir. Super Poly was definitely like the star of the show for sure, as always. Okay, I've been practicing the new Novile support before July. I'm looking forward to playing Burger. Yo, Toxin's gonna be cooking up the burgers. No, that's cool, man. I would like to see, because the new support is really good for the Novella. So if you have goo you're cooking, hit me up, Toxin. You know, we could show it off or something. What's up, Uxum? Nice to see you. Kevin Lopez, $2. I'm not graduated from the academy yet. From the branded academy. Fair enough, fair enough. Appreciate the $2. All right, so for the rest of the branded cards, Titanic, and 2 Grang Wignall. 2 Grang was amazing. It came up like most games. You really just need it for like the grind game it just always comes up. And then also making your cards a high spirit bridge. Pretty good. 1 Renbrum. This card was incredible. Having this card in the graveyard, most people would just like lose the game because this was in the graveyard. Essentially, they couldn't interact with it, or they didn't see it coming. And then I would just make like a Chaos Star Source Dragon. It would be so good. Garura for the Super Poly target. And also, this was great to send off a Grang Wignall, since we aren't running a lot like a Adlib or a Ido in the main deck. This was great to just send to get a free draw a lot of the time. And then 1 Stapelia, and then which was a great Super Poly target too. It didn't come up as much as, but it was like I made this off of Branded and Red a lot in Simplified Game States, and off of Lubellion when I needed the second Mirror Jade or something like that. But this was like perfectly like, this is what this is. This could be a second Mirror Jade, but I wanted to diversify it, because if I already have Mirror Jade on the board, I want to be able to have this. And I don't have Guardian Chimera, so like I don't want that to be Masquerade by, or like Sanctifier by default. I feel like those are kind of weaker options in like a general board state. So where Stapelia just like gives you a negate constantly, and then 1 Lad, and then 1 Proskinion. Proskinion was insane. Like this card, I literally, against the Live Twin Sprite player, I took his Abaku and I popped a card, and I also revived Albaz. Like, this card is insane against Abaku decks. You just take their Abaku after you Super Poly it or whatever, or you Chaos Star Source it, and then you just win the game. Like Abaku, it's like, okay, I'm not playing Branded Synchro. Also, this card was insane. Every time I hit the board, I won the game. So, also Masquerade, it just came up once, but it wasn't like a time factor. It was more or less he was on like 1,000 life points. I just made this and passed. So, very good extra deck. We'll talk about the side super quickly. 2 Granny is mandatory, so great, good for the grind, says Nero. For sure, for sure. All right. Is there any way to get branded Banish Fusion back from Banish with branded Despia engine? I haven't used Fusion duplication. Yeah, you use Kit. That's why we run Kit. I know some lists don't run Kit, but I feel like with fusion duplication, especially when I run 3 fusion duplications, you have to run the Kit because you're going to banish your branded fusion at some point probably in your 3, in your best of 3. So having Kit there, it's also good for those hands where you don't draw any extenders except you have like a mulcharmy and high spirits. And that's what happened against my one ryzeal opponent. It was really funny because I bricked game. Okay, so like I hard bricked my first game, and that was on me. Like I did nothing to do that brick. I think branded eventually will brick in a tournament. You just kind of have to take that L sometimes. And then you just reverse 2-0 them, and that's why I should have been able to do. But I was undefeated at this point, so I was like, okay, we'll just go game 2. I sided in Spooky Dogwood over Fualos because I literally was like, why do people like? Wouldn't I just keep in Spooky? Like, wouldn't I just side out the Spooky Dogwood and the Fualos and put in Spooky Dogwood because theoretically, like, I could just not die off a Spooky Dogwood or something like that instead of Fualos being kind of just dead when I'm going first. But the thing is that Fualos is a high spirits bridge, and this is not, so I think that was a mistake. However, my opponent had an Ash Blossom in hand. So because of the fact that I did not go for Ash, I bricked. I drew high spirits, Spooky Dogwood, and then like 3 bricks. And then I had to pass my game 2. So I bricked twice in a row. And if I hadn't sided in Spooky Dogwood, it wasn't a brick. So I don't consider this a brick. Like I just missided. But it worked out because then I Spooky Dogwooded him. And then I didn't die. And then I was able to OTK him. So it was... That I don't know. Spooky Dogwood is definitely crazy. And then Lance, I didn't even play against Malice. So like these cards, this did not come up. Meowls was fine against like the Fiendsmith deck I played against, and I mean the side deck didn't come up much. I think Lightning Storm was pretty good. There was an error on my deck list, so like I meant to have 2 Lightning Storm, but I did Feather Duster Lightning Storm, so I had to run this. Because you guys might see in the members only video I put 2 Lightning Storm. I thought I had 2 Lightning Storm on my deck list, but I didn't, so I just put in the 1 Feather Storm, or sorry, the Feather Duster. So yeah, that is the list, you guys. And then once again, I can go over my matchups super quickly. They are on Twitter if you guys want to check them out. Thank you for following me on Twitch, Tibbets, and then also thank you everybody for the super chats from Toxin and also our man Kevin Lopez. Do appreciate it, guys. So my matchups. So that was good. So I won round 1 versus Live Twin Fiendsmith. I lost the die roll by 2-0'd them, broke both the boards easily, but Perulia last second edition, like I mentioned before, to the main deck won me game 1, so I was very happy about that. And then game 2 against Mermal. And then round 2 I went against Mermal. Shout out to Eric. Shout out to Eccentric Archfiend on YouTube. He is also a channel member. I do appreciate him. I had a really good game against him. It was a grinder. I won die roll, so obviously I locked him and all that. Or sorry, no, I set up Lad and he couldn't play through it. And then he went game 2 happened. I didn't draw a hand trap, so he just hand ripped me for 2 instead of barrier statue, and yeah, I just lost. And then game 3, I drew like basically a looper. Like my hand was super weak. So I set up like, I think he had like Fualos too or something, so I had to like make like a Sanctifier essentially with like a really weak board. It was not very good. I think I had Brandon in red still though. And he ended up breaking my board, but I was able to like survive. And he did not have, he thought he since he was breaking the board, he sided out the barrier statue, and he went for the barrier statue as if he had the barrier statue in his deck. And because of that, I basically won because his end board was weak and I was just able to OTK him with like a minute on the clock left. So if he had kept in the barrier statue, I won the game. But that's also just like a concession that you have to make on some level. Like, are you going to keep in the Ido going second? Because in the grind game, it's pretty good once you break their board, right? And you can't OTK them. I think a deck like Mermal, I mean, but the thing is though, if he just never went for the barrier statue line and just went for Trishula hand rip, like, and then banished the Branded Fusion in my graveyard, I was just going to crack him back with Despian Tragedy. I think that would have won him the game anyway. So, like, I think, I got lucky in that scenario. And then So I won my round 2. And then round 3 against ryzeal. Shout out to Toxin in the chat. I won it against him 2-1. Game 1 had droll on 7th, Tachyon ended on detonator and cracked it, like I mentioned before. Game 2, I drew Perulia Meowls, like, but I had him really mid hand. I had like Cartesi. I had like Quem Fusion Deployment Albaz or something. Like even after drawing like 3, I had like nothing beyond those cards, so I wasn't able to crack their board. And he was summoning from the deck a lot, so he was able to play around the Perulias a lot. Game 3, I Ash on Branded Fusion, or I got Ash on Brand Fusion by Triple Tactics Talents. I drew 2, and then I just locked him through with Fusion Duplication. So yeah, and then I lost a really tough game 4 against ryzeal. Very good game. It was a very good game. Once again, I bricked game 1, and then game 2 I bricked because I missided. I should have kept in the Fuas. In the future, I'll keep in the Fuas, but like, I'll consider putting in Spooky Dogwood, because if I get hand trapped and I keep Spooky Dogwood in my hand and I have like a half board, like they won't be able to kill me and I'll be able to crack them back. So like honestly, Spooky Dogwood is not a bad option if you have like the sides anytime after games 2 and 3. And then game 5, I played against Regenesis. I don't even know if he was on the cash variant. It was just like a pure variant, and he was main decking Spooky Dogwood, so that was already interesting to say the least. And there were some fun interactions in that game, and once again just made an error that costed me the game at the end. So yeah, that was just kind of what it is. And you know, I could have like played it out my last 3 rounds and just went X2 and probably gotten like top 10 or something like that, but I was kind of tilted off of my mistake. So I'm just like, I'm gonna, you know, we're gonna get back to it with the next remote regional. And also I think there is a Canadian regional in 2 weeks here. I want to talk about Spooky Dogwood though, because this is a card that I feel like is actually way better for branded than I originally thought it was. I talked about this in the members only video, but this card essentially I think should probably been ran and branded for like the last year, honestly, ever since Branded Fusion went to 1. Because and even before that, because your game, if you lose die roll, you are guaranteed to go to time, right? Because like if you lose die roll game 1, you are not guaranteed to win that game 1, and if you don't, then you have to win game 2. You probably do because it's branded, you play through infinite hand traps, but then game 3, it's like that you could be at 40 minutes when you go to game 3. It happens a lot. I remember that happened at my round 1 against at YCS Raleigh, I think it was. Played like an insane just technical play match against Fire King when OSS was out, and I went to time by game 3 and he just won because he was able to, you know, I think we tied. It was something like that. I don't know, but this I think should be ran. But also, you can just OTK with this card. You can be like, okay, game 2, Dogwood, you can't kill me. Okay, branded, like Super Poly Branded Fusion. Like, honestly, this card has a ton of utility in branded, and I literally won a game because I had that situation in game 2 where I drew this like 25 minutes on the clock, and I bricked. So I had to pass on like Albaz Super Poly, and then I essentially like dogwooded him after he cleared my board. He wasn't able to OTK me under dogwood, so he set up a big board, and then I just OTK'd him. Like, because he couldn't kill me. It was... This card is actually... I see, like... Yeah, no. I see why people ran it. So we're going to talk about that. I mean, I basically just told the story right there, but... What's up, Baby Otter? How's it going? What's up, Long John? Where'd you get the mat? I need to get my hands on one of those. It is a... It's a yugioh. I think that's how you pronounce it. Still don't know how to do that. This was in the side deck. We'll talk about this. This was a great side deck card. I'm not gonna lie though. Great side deck card. I did lock like I think like twice in the whole tournament, and I think if I didn't have the lock in one of those situations, I definitely lost the game. So did not regret running that. Let's talk about that. We're at like 5 o'clock, so we're gonna have to do a quicker... I mean, we did go over a ton of the stuff in the members only deck list, so once again, if you're a channel member, I'd recommend checking out that if you want to hear like some of the more menial things of why, you know, I made certain choices that we might not talk about right now. So we are on a tight schedule. And I love yapping, so it doesn't help. It doesn't really help my case when I want to do that. But branded felt great. I'm not gonna lie. Like this tournament just like reconfirmed that branded 100% has a place in the meta. And as long as you play well and deck build correctly, I think the deck building's super huge though, because if you just like, I think you really need the charmies right now, and then just like these guys essentially. Like, I mean, Droplet was like fine, but I think Super Poly obviously just was the star of the show. And this was a huge, this list was heavily based off the Mario list, so definitely just like if I'm shouting out anybody, it's definitely Mario. Because this list was essentially his, and I made a few adjustments. So, if anyone deserves any credit for the list, that is Mario. I did make a few adjustments though, and I took, what he said he would do afterwards. I made my own spin on things because he didn't run Sanctifier. I'm running Sanctifier. I think Sanctifier was great. I do not regret running that. You guys know in Master Duel I even run Sanctifier without the lock, so I think Sanctifier just has a ton of utility in the deck. So let's talk about the deck profile, and then we're going to talk about the tournament run, and just like we'll go over like why I guess I ended up fumbling the last round, and it wasn't like, oh, I just misplayed or something. No, trust me. I mean, like, it was against Regenesis, so like 100% I definitely did misplay because I didn't know what the cards did very much, that was like the only matchup where I wasn't comfortable just like freeballing it essentially, because with like technical play I just like, and then just other outside unfortunate factors that are,